Candice came to me in 2009, and she said, I want a lawyer who will take this case to trial because we need to bring attention to the Jehovah's Witness policy of keeping sex abusers secret, and we need to make them change it. And I agreed. The plaintiff in this case, Candice Conti, grew up in a life of chaos. Her mother was a substance abuser with major psychiatric disabilities, unable to care for herself or her child. Her father, so dedicated to the Jehovah's Witnesses that he abandoned his family. And Candice left as a vulnerable girl at age 9 and 10. Candice grew up in a Jehovah's Witness family, and she was dedicated to being, as she told the jury, the best Jehovah's Witness she could be. And that was her life's passion at 8 and 9 and 10 in response to this dysfunctional family that she was raised in. Jonathan Kendrick, who is the perpetrator of the abuse of Candice, was a ministerial servant, that's a lower level position, in the congregation in North Fremont that Candice and her family belonged to. He was reported to the congregation elders for having sexually abused his stepdaughter in 1993 and was criminally convicted of that allegation as well. Candice continued to go to what is called field service, even though her parents were often unable to join her. And she would go as a 9 and 10-year-old, door to door, as so many of us have been awakened on Saturday mornings, spreading the policies and the preachings of Jehovah's Witnesses and raising money for Watchtower New York. It was during field service that Jonathan Kendrick, who was assigned to go out into groups with Candice, even though the elders knew he was a child sex abuser and was likely to abuse again. And he would take Candice during the middle of the field service to his house and commit terrible acts of abuse of this little girl. In 2009, Candice learned by checking the Department of Justice website that her perpetrator, Jonathan Kendrick, had been convicted of abusing another 8-year-old girl in a different congregation in Oakley. And she went to the elders in Los Angeles, where she was living at the time, and asked them to change the policy of keeping known sexual abusers secret. And she said to them, what's to prevent them from hiding who they are? And the elders refused to change the policies, refused to even report to Watchtower New York, the corporate headquarters, the experience that Candice had. Exhibit 1 in the trial was a written policy of Watchtower New York issued on July 1st, 1989, meant to be kept confidential, but we were able to obtain it through the power of the court, which instructed all elders in the entire United States to keep reports of child sex abuse secret. In closing argument in the compensatory damage phase, I asked the jury for $7 million for Candice's abuse, her years of darkness when she was in isolation and couldn't tell anyone, her years of anxiety and drug abuse and post-traumatic stress syndrome, and the rest of her life. And the jury awarded $7 million. In the punitive damage phase, I asked the jury for treble damages, $21 million. And they awarded $21,000,001, because the jurors told us later this verdict needed an exclamation point.
It was a very hard road, but the message also is that other people can do this. You can do this. If I did this and I stuck through it, it was really hard, and there was a night there that I really questioned wanting to continue, but it's worth it, and you can do it. It doesn't matter anything else. You can really stand up and get through it.
The thing I am most proud of in terms of my work in this case is after the verdict, which got worldwide attention. I got more than 1,000 calls from every continent, except Antarctica, from victims of Jehovah's Witness sexual abuse. And afterwards, they changed their policy. They didn't change it as much as they should, and it's going to take a lot more lessons, but they did change it enough, and they moved it in the right direction. And we brought attention to a dark secret in that church. This is the first verdict ever against Jehovah's Witnesses in the United States. And we proved the importance of protecting children because this is the largest verdict ever given in the country for a single victim of religious child sex abuse.